Everyone, normally we're meeting on Wednesday at about 10 o'clock, but I chose this evening for us to gather together. And hope everybody's having a good evening and that we are able to find a place to relax and let go and tune into a little bit of an aspect of ourselves, our higher selves, of receiving some type of information. Wait a minute, I have this on. Hold on. Okay. As you know, we've been discussing different subjects every Wednesday. Something that hits a chord within us, that brings us to a higher level of consciousness, brings us some form of awareness that we can bring for ourselves during the day, for the week, for the month, and for the days and years ahead. Interesting, I thought of the concept this week. As we look at our lives and we reflect back on certain aspects of ourselves, we think about memories of the past and things that took place in the past. And we will refer to them basically after a year is gone as years, naturally. But usually it's days, right? That turn into weeks, and weeks that turn into months, and months that turn into years, that make the events seem so far away from ourselves. But if we computate those days as one following the next, we then recognize how really close we are to those experiences. And so I wanted to just bring that along into the aspect of our daily lives, of how that it's so important for us to recognize that we're really not too far away from 10 years ago. Well, 10 years ago seems like a long time. But if you really just multiply 10 times 365 and you see the amount of days that are away from some specific part of the past, it's really not too long ago. Okay, so what does that have to do with today's drumming? Really not too much, but just a thought that came to my mind. And today we're going to be journeying to our unseen burdens. And as Fred Nietzsche said, was to live is to suffer. To survive is to find some meaning in the suffering. And that's a pretty potent, powerful statement, because as we know, many times when we have problems and issues, we want to proceed in life with everything being 100%. And if we really look at it, it's very difficult to be 100%. But despite not being 100%, that doesn't mean that we can't carry on. I remember as a school teacher, I used to tell my students, I walk around just like you do. I'm older than you, but I carry a weight on my back. You may not see it, but despite carrying the weight, I have to proceed and move on. And many of the kids understood that because they had burdens within their lives that they couldn't talk about. And they would have internal tantrums because they were probably suffering, but were afraid to trust and move forward because not everything was perfect. So we really come to the conclusion through some of the saying that despite suffering, we can't have everything perfect, and not everything has to be 100%, right? But we all do carry a weight around, a burden. And some of that burden that we carry around, we don't see. We don't see it on other people, and they don't see it on us. People can make themselves up to look like everything's fine and perfect, but we all know that we go through certain burdens and troubles in our life. And in many cases, it sometimes weighs us down. Really what weighs us down is our inability for ourselves to see it or to come to some truth about what's burdening us. When we come to the conclusion that we are burdened, it somehow lifts, it somehow becomes validated, and then our lives move a little bit more in a flowing manner. So one of the things we can't do is be 100% all the time, right? And nothing has to be perfect for us to proceed or grow in life. So we can have different aspects or parts of ourselves that aren't healed. But despite that, doesn't mean that we can't move on and learn new concepts and new things in our life that will help us and maybe give us insight into the things that we are unable to work on or deal with in a certain time. So we can learn to burden. We learn most of our burdening or unburdening, right, by the way we were raised, what we saw, what we were taught, what we heard, and the way other people handled certain stresses or problems in their own life. And sometimes they might have been good, and for many times they may have been, immature or not something that resonated with us. But at the time, we had no other choice but to live that example and then follow that example. But as we go on this journey, we now have the opportunity to look at things under a microscope a little more carefully, and to go easy on ourselves, to better help ourselves adapt and move forward as we proceed in this life. So one of the things that we need in the sense of burden or unburden, but in terms of unburdening ourselves, is for us to have a routine. And that routine is part of remaining disciplined. So what does discipline mean? It means following a certain pattern, right? You want to make sure you have a routine that you're able to follow and put yourself in that allows you to empty out the suitcase, right? To release the pressure from yourself. And by having a routine, it shows you have trust in yourself and you have a commitment to yourself. When you make that commitment to yourself, then you're on a path to then flowing in a way where not everything is scattered and out of place for yourself. Hi, Janet. Hi, Tina. Thank you for joining me. The other thing is that we want to spend time with people who make us feel loved and appreciated. If we're around people who offer this type of energy to us, it gives us the energy of it's uplifting. It empowers us. It helps us move forward. Another thing is we want to set achievable goals that we can reach, right? You want to try to find things that you can focus in on and take baby steps if you're not good at setting goals and accomplishing them. But we can just make little steps, right? Steps forward are better than no steps at all. And the fear of making mistakes in those steps is generally what gets us into the state of not trying at all. So be brave. The other thing is challenging negative thoughts, and when they appear, replacing them with positive ones. There's nothing wrong with having a negative thought because we're programmed in survival mode to think negatively to protect ourselves. But when we shift our thinking from the negative to the positive, eventually we break down our ego and we allow our subconscious mind and its programming to be a little bit depleted and pushed aside so that we can replace it with more positivity. All right, so hello Molly, hello Serenity. Thank you for joining me. What I would like to do now is go on a guided journey to find your unseen burdens, the burdens that you don't talk about, the things that you know, and maybe your spirit animal that you encounter can offer you some insight on how to release this or what you can do with that. So if you just sit back and relax, if you have a place where you could lie down, a place where you can close your eyes, if you're seated or lying down, whatever you choose, but don't operate any machinery. Listen to this while you're doing something in the background. You can listen to when you can relax. And what we'll do is we'll go on a guided journey, finding your spirit animal and asking that specific question of the unseen burdens that exist in our lives. So take a deep breath in and exhale with your eyes closed. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Take a deep breath in one more time, and let's go on our journey. We're walking in the forest on a beautiful path. The trees are blossoming as the spring has hit. The smell of grass and the pine in the air. And as we walk, we hear the birds whistling. The path is narrow. And at the side of our ankles are bushes and beautiful flowers blossoming. And as we walk, we take a deep breath in and we recognize the burdens in our life. The strength and courage it takes to admit that and to feel them. And by feeling them, we release them. walk this path, there's a footbridge in front of us. And underneath the bridge is a stream that passes by from left to right. We take a deep breath in and look at the water flowing beneath us. Out. Up ahead is a tiny opening in a rock face. Almost a little cave. And as we approach it, we enter it. Coming from the other side, and we follow that light. As we follow the light, it takes us to the outside of another world, another landscape. Where are you? As you look around. On this landscape, you ask the question, what is my unseen burden? And directly in front of you is a spirit animal. What animal do you see? thank the spirit animal or whatever information you received. And you turn back. You find the opening in the cave. And as you proceed into the darkness, you see the light at the end of the tunnel that takes you back to your original path. And as you walk on this path, you proceed in the downward slope. And that slope takes you back near the footbridge that you originally crossed. And as you stand on that bridge, you look downward as the sun shines on your face. You take a deep breath in and proceed forward. Back onto the original path. And as you walk on this path, up ahead to the left is an oak tree. You stop in front of the oak tree and put your hands around it. And you release the positive ions, the energy that you no longer need. And the tree accepts and absorbs this energy. You feel the exchange between you and the tree. And you thank the tree as you walk out of the forest. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Move your fingers, move your toes. And when you're ready, come back into the room and open your eyes. Okay. So, as I mentioned earlier before I started to drum, we all carry a weight, we all carry a burden. Nobody's exempt from feeling and going through certain aspects of suffering. As I said earlier, Friedrich Nietzsche said that to live is to suffer, and to survive is to find some meaning in that suffering. And so if we look at life as a lesson and to better understand that the burdens we carry are all teaching us and reminding us that we are human and that we are not perfect, nor are we built to be perfect, but to be installed with certain traumas, certain aspects or burdens that we will go through in order to shape us to become like the diamond, the coal that is really, really pressured into becoming a diamond. And so it's really pertinent for us to recognize the fact that we all are going through the same thing. Sometimes we don't see burdens or suffering on other people. And sometimes the people who hold it together the most have the most difficult time, because instead of allowing it to just open up and flow, people keep it contained, and that becomes more of a burden and more of a responsibility and a big negative part of a person's psychology or psyche. So one of the things, again, that we can do is to remain disciplined, to follow a certain path in our life, have a routine that allows us to awaken and also to release the burden, and also to spend time with people who make you feel loved and appreciated, setting achievable goals in small fragments, and then challenging negative thoughts right when they appear with positive ones. So as I look on the list here, Tina saw an owl, Janet saw a lion, Serenity saw a pink flamingo, and yeah, it's very interesting. The different animals that come into our lives, right? So an owl is about having 360 vision, or having a perception that you can see things from a distance, right? Or you have night vision, so to speak. You can see things that are in the dark. I think a flamingo, if I recall, is being able to stand above things, right? The long legs and being out of the water, which is very interesting. And the lion is about courage and finding the courage to overcome burdens, which are interesting themselves. So remember, our burdens are actually blessings in disguise, because they're reminding us that we are human, that we have work to do, and that we didn't come here just to rest and lie down and expect everything to be normal and 100%. If we did, then where would our motivation be? What would be the drive for us to live and to do things? So the thing is not to think everything's perfect when we have problems. The thing is to remind ourselves that we are human, that it's okay to have problems, and it's okay to work on them. So I want to thank you for joining me. Okay, Molly, so you saw a falcon. Yes, so a falcon is actually, it could speed down and capture its prey very quickly. So it's one of the fastest birds of prey. So it's a matter of doing things in a speedy, meticulous way, getting things over with, so to speak. Again, I want to thank you for joining me, and hopefully we will do this again either on Tuesday evening like we're doing now, or we'll do it on the Wednesday 10 o'clock. Put it in the comment section what works best for everyone, so I can get an idea and what works best for me. And I hope you have a blessed and a beautiful week. And remember that nature nurtures us, so we should nurture nature. Have a great evening.